We stand at a critical crossroads, a junction where the relentless hum of external expectations meets the profound, often unexpected, internal exhaustion. For women navigating the terrain past 40, the world often shifts its gaze, subtly suggesting that the period of vibrant growth is concluding, that the clock is ticking down to a deadline. This narrative is a fabrication, a societal limit placed upon the very stage of life where true, sustainable power begins to emerge. We are not winding down, we are entering the phase of disciplined presence. The clock is not a deadline, it is, quite literally, a starting gun. We have spent decades reacting, to careers, to family needs, to the fluctuating demands of others. Now, the invitation is to pivot, to cease the frantic chase for external validation, and to define authority from the deepest core of self. Comment below, I will win. Let's fill this section with positive energy. This transition is rarely gentle. We carry the weight of accumulated responsibilities, the complex demands of professional mastery, the emotional labor of maintaining relationships, and the often invisible burden of being the primary anchor for multiple generations. The consequence is a specific kind of mental friction, a constant anxiety that buzzes beneath the surface, threatening to erode the joy and clarity we deserve. Many of us arrive at this point depleted, feeling that our energy is perpetually borrowed, our decisions driven by reaction rather than deliberate choice. We look for external fixes, a new routine, a momentary inspiration, but these are fleeting. What we need is an unshakable inner architecture, a system built not on temporary motivation, but on cold, steady resolve. This is where we turn to the ancient wisdom of Stoicism, not as an intellectual exercise, but as the ultimate manual for self-governance. It is a philosophy perfectly tailored for the woman who has seen enough of the world to know that true strength lies not in controlling the chaos around her, but in absolute mastery of the landscape within. It offers a counter-strategy to the exhaustion, deliberate presence. It teaches us how to meet the emotional storms, the unexpected betrayals, the professional disappointments, the self-criticism, not with suppression, but with an unwavering, self-constructed citadel of calm. Imagine the sensory experience of a focused dawn ritual, the moment you silence the internal chaos. You replace the anxious chatter about tomorrow's tasks or yesterday's regrets with a deliberate, singular focus on the breath, on the immediate moment, on the one thing that is truly in your control, your judgment. This is the rigorous joy of mental mastery. It is a daily commitment, a form of mental calisthenics, where we train ourselves to identify the source of distress. Is it the external event, or is it our judgment of the external event? For the seasoned woman, this distinction is the key to unlocking the next, most profound chapter of her life. We are seeking to build that unshakable inner architecture, brick by disciplined brick, ensuring that our movement through the world is characterized by quiet, magnetic authority, driven not by fleeting inspiration, but by inherent, unwavering drive. We will explore how to meet emotional volatility with reasoned acceptance, how to ground our decisions in virtue rather than fear, and how to define our self-worth entirely independent of the external metrics that society so frequently uses to measure us. The journey ahead is about recognizing that the most profound life chapters are always written with the steadiest hand. This disciplined presence is the foundation upon which we begin to build genuine, enduring peace. Drop a comment saying I'm stronger than my challenges if you believe in your victory. To begin this architectural work, we must first address the turbulent waters of emotional life, especially the specific emotional burdens carried by women, the internalization of guilt, the fatigue of constant caretaking, and the sharp sting of external criticism. Stoicism does not ask us to become emotionless automatons, it asks us to become experts in emotional navigation. The core principle here is understanding the difference between an initial impression, which is involuntary, and our assent to that impression, which is entirely within our power. When a harsh word is spoken, or a professional setback occurs, the initial flash of anger, sadness, or anxiety is natural. It is the raw data of existence. Where we gain our power is in the pause that follows. We often confuse feeling an emotion with being that emotion, allowing the impression to take root and define our subsequent actions. The Stoic practice is to observe the emotion dispassionately, recognizing it as a messenger, not a master. This is particularly vital in interpersonal conflicts, where women are frequently conditioned to prioritize harmony over honesty, leading to suppressed resentments and eventual emotional burnout. Instead of suppressing the feeling, we practice radical acceptance of its existence, followed by a rational interrogation. Does this feeling serve my highest values? Is this reaction aligned with the kind of woman I intend to be? By refusing to give automatic assent to negative or destructive impressions, we reclaim the space between stimulus and response. This space is liberty. It allows us to process the stressor, the difficult client, the demanding family member, the unfair critique, with clarity, responding with measured intention rather than volatile reaction. This practice transforms daily stressors from personal attacks into neutral information, allowing us to manage our inner state regardless of the external turbulence. We move from being victims of our mood to being the architects of our emotional stability, creating a reliable inner climate even when the outer weather is fierce. This mastery is the prerequisite for cultivating the deep, unwavering inner strength that defines true maturity. This mastery of our inner climate leads directly to the cultivation of profound inner strength, a strength derived not from external accolades or physical endurance, but from unwavering self-awareness and self-compassion. For too long, many women have been taught that self-worth is a currency earned through performance, being the perfect mother, the indispensable employee, the flawless partner. When these external metrics inevitably fail or shift, the self-worth collapses. Stoicism provides a necessary corrective, grounding our identity in our character, in the virtues we choose to embody daily: justice, temperance, courage, and wisdom. Our focus shifts entirely from being good at things to being a good person. This requires ruthless honesty about our own motivations, coupled with a deep, non-judgmental acceptance of our imperfections. Self-compassion in the Stoic sense is not self-indulgence, it is the recognition that we are human, that we will make mistakes, and that these mistakes are simply data points for improvement. We set realistic expectations rooted in our capability to act virtuously, rather than aiming for unattainable external outcomes. For example, instead of setting the goal, "I must achieve a perfect outcome on this project," we set the goal, "I will approach this project with diligence, honesty, and temperance." The outcome is external, the approach is internal. This framework allows us to detach our self-esteem from the unpredictable results of our efforts. When we define ourselves by our commitment to these virtues, our strength becomes portable and permanent. It cannot be taken away by a layoff, a rejection, or a societal shift in beauty standards. This inner citadel, built on the solid rock of virtuous character, ensures that our confidence is not a flickering light dependent on external praise, but a steady, internal furnace. This self-governance provides the bedrock necessary for making the complex, high-stakes decisions that often characterize this stage of life. Type 1 will overcome in the comments to affirm your strength today. The next necessary step in disciplined presence is applying this reasoned perspective to the countless decisions we face, moving away from impulsive, emotionally driven choices toward those grounded in virtue and clarity. This is where the cornerstone of Stoicism, the dichotomy of control, becomes an indispensable tool for the modern woman. We must draw a clear, sharp line between what is within our power, our judgments, intentions, and reactions, and what is outside of it, other people's opinions, market fluctuations, the past, the future health of loved ones. So much of the anxiety and decision paralysis we experience stems from trying to exert control over the uncontrollable. We expend enormous mental energy worrying about outcomes that are ultimately up to fate or external factors. When facing a major decision, whether to change careers, set firm boundaries with an aging parent, or invest time in a new endeavor, we must first filter the situation through this dichotomy. What is the core decision I must make right now? Is it about external results, or is it about aligning my actions with my virtues? A virtuous decision is one made with wisdom, seeking the best information, justice, fairness to self and others, courage, acting despite fear, and temperance, avoiding excess. By focusing solely on ensuring our internal process is sound, we liberate ourselves from the paralyzing fear of failure. If we act with integrity, the external result, whatever it may be, cannot diminish the quality of our choice. This perspective is profoundly empowering because it shifts the metric of success entirely inward. We stop asking, "Will this choice make me happy or successful in the eyes of others?" and start asking, "Does this choice reflect my deepest commitment to my own character?" This focus on internal alignment provides a compass that remains steady, even when external pressures attempt to push us off course, preparing us for the inevitable changes and setbacks that life will continue to deliver. Life is a constant flux, and true mastery is demonstrated not during periods of calm, but in our capacity for resilience in the face of inevitable adversity. For women who often feel the responsibility to maintain stability for everyone around them, the Stoic acceptance of impermanence and change, the concept of amor fati, or the love of fate, is a powerful liberation. We must recognize that setbacks, losses, betrayals, and even the natural process of aging are not failures of our personal management, but simply the raw. Resilience is not about avoiding the fall, it is about controlling the landing and using the impact to propel ourselves forward. When adversity strikes, the immediate reaction is often resistance, a desperate clinging to how things should be. This resistance is the source of suffering. Stoicism encourages us instead to view these obstacles as opportunities to test and strengthen our internal virtues. When a professional disappointment occurs, it is an opportunity to practice courage and patience. When a relationship shifts or ends, it is an opportunity to practice temperance and self-sufficiency. We learn to accept the reality of the situation, not grudgingly, but actively, embracing it as the necessary context for our growth. The disciplined mind understands that obstacles are not roadblocks, they are the pathway itself. This acceptance is not passive resignation, it is an active, fierce affirmation of life as it is presented. By accepting that we cannot control every variable, that external events will inevitably disrupt our plans, we stop wasting precious energy fighting the unchangeable and redirect that energy toward constructive action. This practice solidifies the foundation of our inner strength, ensuring that our self-worth is never dependent on the stability of our external circumstances. Finally, we arrive at the ultimate affirmation, empowerment and self-worth rooted entirely in the disciplined practice of self-governance. The journey through Stoicism is a constant, gentle reminder that your value is not derived from your productivity, your appearance, your relationship status, or your ability to please others. Your worth is inherent, resting solely in your prohairesis, your faculty of choice, your ability to reason and choose virtue. This is the ultimate, unassailable power. When you commit to living by reason, aligning your actions with justice, courage, wisdom, and temperance, you build a self-worth that is entirely independent of the world's fluctuating judgment. We have discussed the need to silence anxious chatter through focused presence, to manage emotional volatility by withholding assent, to anchor our strength in internal virtues, and to make decisions based on reason rather than panic, all while embracing the impermanence of external life. These are not abstract concepts, they are daily practices, mental habits that, when consistently applied, create a profound shift in how you inhabit your own life. The woman who practices Stoicism moves through the world with a quiet, magnetic authority. Her motivation is not fleeting inspiration but an inherent, unwavering drive to be her best self. She understands that the most profound life chapters, especially those written in this vital, seasoned stage of life, are written with the steadiest, most disciplined hand. Continue to practice this mental calisthenics. Look inward, choose wisely, and accept what you cannot change. Your strength is already absolute, you simply need the discipline to acknowledge it and live from that powerful, self-governed center. The starting gun has sounded, run your race with deliberate, magnificent composure. If you believe better days are coming, comment "I'm built to win." Having secured the inner architecture, having established the unassailable fortress of the mind, the deep, transformative implication of Stoic self-worth is the cessation of competitive striving. True empowerment means recognizing the inherent value in all rational beings, thereby dissolving the psychological need to measure personal success relative to another woman's trajectory, career milestone, or domestic arrangement. This is the powerful antidote to the constant, exhausting social grading women are conditioned to endure. When your value is intrinsically established by your commitment to virtue, others' achievements cease to be sources of personal inadequacy or envy. Instead, they transform into neutral data points, perhaps sources of inspiration, but never metrics by which you judge your own completeness. This shift liberates vast amounts of mental energy previously consumed by comparison and the striving to keep up. We move beyond the zero-sum game of societal validation, recognizing that our individual excellence neither diminishes nor is diminished by the excellence of another. Furthermore, this liberated perspective fosters a profound sense of non-competitive excellence. When we stop viewing the world through the lens of scarcity, the fear that there is not enough success, recognition, or time to go around, we naturally adopt a posture of abundance rooted in the communal good. This is the Stoic idea of cosmopolitanism in action, recognizing that our highest good is intertwined with the well-being of the larger human community. We focus intently on maximizing our own unique contribution, not to outperform a perceived rival, but simply because it is the rational, virtuous thing to do. This commitment to focused contribution eliminates the self-inflicted pressure of being everything to everyone. You are no longer trying to prove your worth externally, you are simply living out the inevitable expression of your inner alignment. Consequently, the fully realized Stoic self, grounded in this unbreakable self-sufficiency, becomes the most generous. Because she is no longer seeking validation from the community, she can contribute to it without expectation of return. Her actions are purely benevolent, untainted by the transactional need for praise or reciprocal obligation. This radical shift eliminates the deep-seated resentment that often accompanies emotional labor and caretaking, transforming duty into genuine, unburdened service. Observe, now, the outward manifestation of this inner sovereignty. The woman who has achieved this level of disciplined presence possesses a quiet authority that requires no volume or fanfare. She does not need to dominate a conversation or seek the spotlight to confirm her existence. She is like a perfectly tuned instrument, her sound is clear, resonant, and harmonious, regardless of the noise or discord present in the external orchestra. This internal harmony manifests as unhurried action, a deliberate pace that stands in stark contrast to the frantic, reactive energy of the modern world. She moves with intention, speaking only when her words add value, and listening with a profound, focused attention that honors the speaker. Her power is not aggressive or demanding, it is inherent and magnetic. It is the power of a deep well, calm, reflective, and containing inexhaustible reserves. Comment: victory is mine if you're claiming your success today. Understand this above all else. This power is not a temporary motivational high or a gift granted by circumstance, it is claimed through rigorous, daily commitment to reason. It is a renewable resource, accessible at the very moment you choose to exercise your rational judgment over an impulsive reaction. Your self-worth, anchored in the immutable fact of your rational nature, is an eternal victory. You are complete not when the world applauds, but when your conscience confirms that you have acted with wisdom and integrity. This is the profound, quiet triumph of the disciplined life, ensuring that your most impactful chapters are those written from a place of unwavering, self-created peace. Reflecting on this journey so far, we recognize that the rigorous attention paid to the landscape of the mind yields more than just temporary coping mechanisms, it fundamentally alters the texture of our experience. The accumulated wisdom derived from deliberate practice is not a mere toolkit for survival, but a foundational shift in being. We move away from viewing life as a series of crises to be survived and begin to perceive it as a continuous, deliberate construction. The fragmentation that often characterized earlier years, the sense of being pulled in countless directions by competing loyalties and urgent demands, recedes, replaced by a profound, centralizing gravity. This internal cohesion is the ultimate reward of sovereignty, transforming the chaotic field of modern life into a manageable garden cultivated by focused intention. The distinction we have learned to draw, separating the internal realm of judgment and choice from the external domain of outcomes and circumstance, acts as a crucial and reliable navigational instrument. Where we once felt obligated to manage every variable on the immediate horizon, we now recognize the profound futility of fighting the tide. Instead, our conserved energy converges upon the only true point of leverage, the quality of our intent. This dedicated focus on character, on the moral excellence of our chosen response, transforms the nature of every encounter. Every interaction, every moment of pressure, becomes less about the external result and entirely about the fidelity of our inner compass. We are no longer sailing by the flickering stars of others' expectations or societal trends, but by the unmoving, fixed point of our self-defined integrity. This anchors us against the psychological drift that so often drains vitality from the seasoned woman. Type 1 rise above in the comments to show your determination. The inevitable friction of life, the disappointments, the reversals, and the losses that are simply guaranteed features of the human condition, are thus transmuted. They cease to be perceived as personal failures or signs of cosmic unfairness. Instead, they become the necessary heat through which our resolve is tempered. This is the ultimate internal alchemy, taking the leaden weight of adversity and refining it into the durable gold of tested, resilient wisdom. The resulting self-worth is not fragile, it is structural. It doesn't require validation because it is inherently woven into the fabric of disciplined action and reasoned acceptance. We have built a citadel that is not impervious to attack, but which remains structurally sound regardless of the force of the siege. This quiet, unassailable fortress allows us to fully withdraw from the exhausting economy of comparison. When our value is rooted in the unshakable commitment to our own virtues, the achievements, accolades, or misfortunes of others cease to be metrics by which we judge our own completeness. This liberation from the competitive gaze frees vast reserves of mental energy, redirecting it toward purposeful contribution. Our motivation is purified, shifting from transactional seeking of approval to the inherent drive to maximize our unique capacity for good. Drawing these threads together, we begin to understand the source of that quiet, magnetic authority that defines true maturity. It is the deep, steady hum of a life lived in perfect resonance, a sound that effortlessly drowns out the superficial clamor of the world. We have consciously stripped away the need for frantic external confirmation, replacing it with the deep, abiding satisfaction of self-governance. This sustained practice of focusing on what is truly ours, our judgment, our intention, our character, prepares us for the final reflection on how this disciplined presence defines the very essence of our most meaningful contribution to the world, confirming that the most impactful stages of life are those written with clarity and composure. The ultimate reward of this rigorous mental architecture is not merely survival, but the profound realization that you have claimed ownership of your existence. We began by acknowledging the societal fiction that frames this vibrant stage of life as a countdown, yet the synthesis of our Stoic journey reveals the absolute opposite. We have achieved the clarity required to recognize that the clock was never a deadline, but the signal for the commencement of our most intentional, self-authored chapter. The true power emerging now is the disciplined presence that finally silences the frantic, lifelong striving for external validation. This is the moment of deep, existential liberation, where the energy previously consumed by comparison, anxiety, and the futile attempt to manage the uncontrollable is reclaimed and transmuted into unwavering self-possession. If you're ready to win, comment "Nothing can stop me." This transformation is visible in the quality of your decisions and the unwavering nature of your self-worth. By committing to the internal, rational life, you have moved beyond the transactional economy of approval. Your value is no longer a fluctuating commodity dependent on performance metrics, be they professional achievements, familial roles, or physical appearance, but an inherent, unassailable fact rooted in the moral quality of your choices. When your integrity is your compass, your confidence becomes structural, impervious to the inevitable shifts in fortune. You are no longer navigating by the flickering, unreliable lights of the external world, but by the steady, fixed illumination of your own character. This is the quiet authority that requires no assertion, it simply is. It is the magnetic force of a soul that has found its permanent center, radiating composure and clarity into every space it enters. The profound implication of this discipline is that it allows us to fully enter the second wind of life, characterized not by ambition for acquisition, but by an unwavering commitment to contribution. Having established the inner citadel, the focus shifts outward, but without the old need for praise or reward. You contribute to the world not out of obligation or a desire for reciprocation, but because it is the rational, virtuous expression of your fully realized self. This benevolence, untainted by expectation, is the purest form of service and the deepest source of enduring joy. When you cease fighting the reality of impermanence, you gain the composure to act decisively within the present moment, understanding that obstacles are not barriers to happiness, but the very material upon which your resilience is forged. Every challenge becomes a necessary test, not of your luck, but of your mastery. This journey is not a destination, but a continuous, deliberate practice. The true work begins now, in the seamless integration of these principles into the minute-by-minute reality of your life. It is in the conscious pause before reaction, in the quiet affirmation of acceptance when plans dissolve, and in the unwavering commitment to justice even when it is difficult. This is the disciplined presence that defines true maturity. You are the architect of your inner climate, and the sovereign ruler of your response. Embrace this enduring process. Move forward with the quiet certainty that the most profound and impactful chapters of your life are written not with youthful fervor, but with the steady, insightful hand of a woman who knows exactly who she is, what she controls, and what truly matters.